first, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Everyone, this is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. I appreciate you joining us. We're here live from the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom, as we are every weekday, starting around 1, going throughout the afternoon. So we cover a wide range of topics. But today, we're talking about two things at the same time. Twilight, yes, Twilight, the movie series. The reason being, Twilight was in large part, well, maybe not large part, but a large portion of it was filmed here in Portland and the Northwest. Obviously, it's set in the Northwest, but in case you didn't know, and you're a Twilight fan, a lot of those buildings were in Portland, including the one right behind me. As you can see in this Lego set, the Cullen House, as it is known. The Cullen House is actually a home, I think in Northwest Portland is where the actual place is, but this was hugely featured in the movie series, and now there is a Lego set. So the way these two things came together is all through this designer right there, Nick Micheels. And Nick came up with this idea to make this into a Lego set. He submitted it. Actually, we go through it all in the interview. So why don't we just do this? We're gonna go straight to our interview with Nick to find out about how this all happened. Nick, thank you for joining us here today. Obviously, this is now out. People can pick this up, but we have one here in studio, not put together yet because there's like 2,000 pieces to this thing. Have not had time to do that part yet, but congratulations on having this out there. And to start off, I think I'd just like to know from the beginning, how you came up with this idea. Were you just a huge Twilight fan, or where did this all start from?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I wasn't much of a Twilight fan when the movies were coming out when I was in high school, but as an adult, I think there have been so many Twilight renaissances, and I caught the bug with my wife. We just loved watching the movies, and I had this idea that I thought, Lego does some Lego movies, like Lego Batman movies, and they always infuse a bunch of humor into it, and I thought, another dark theme that they could do really well would be Twilight, and that kind of sparked the idea, and it kind of just took off from there.
Were you building a lot of Lego sets previous to this?
Yeah, I got into building Lego again, like as an adult, around the pandemic, like I think a lot of people did. It was something to do while we were all stuck at home, and I really got pretty addicted to it, and this is one of the first things I started trying to make on my own. So I've between just building sets and making my own designs, I've been hooked for a couple years now.
So what was it specifically about the Cullen House, which for those who have watched the movie, I mean, this is a prominently featured house in there, and the actual house is in Portland where they did this filming. So what was it about this house in particular that made you choose that out of all the possibilities for a Twilight Lego set?
Yeah, I mean, I thought there were a couple of options for Twilight. The other one being Bella's house, which would also be a great set, I think. But I thought, this is such an iconic piece of architecture. Like you mentioned, it's a real house in Portland, and in the movie, it's set in Forks, Washington. But it's something that I thought looked good on its own, apart from the Twilight franchise, and it's something that when you look at, if you know the movies and the films, you're going to know that this is the Twilight house right off the bat.
So when you go about designing this, like, what's the first thing you're thinking about as a Lego set creator?
Yeah, so for me, the first thing was that second floor, the facade, was where I started on the design, because I feel like it's the most prominent part of the house. And so I started with that design and then kind of built outward from there. And just making sure that I could capture scenes from the movie on the inside. It's a tricky design because the actual house was used a little bit in some of the movies, but they also switched to using a set on a soundstage. They basically rebuilt portions of the house, and each film has basically a different version of the house, so it's not even consistent throughout all the movies. So it was tricky to kind of imagine how we could physically make this just based off of taking pieces from the movies and make something out of our own imagination that would work, that still says Twilight, but also really is true to the architecture of the real house in Portland.
Well, and you got to think too. I mean, as you know, being one, I mean, Twilight fans really love the movies, love every aspect of that. So, was there any kind of pressure that you felt at all in getting this right for other Twilight fans out there?
You know what? I think luckily, no pressure when I designed it because I had no idea there was such a fandom for these films when I submitted the idea. It really was something I did for myself. I just thought it was a funny idea. And once I submitted it, I very quickly realized how many people out there are like me and would love something like this. And so then I started hearing, yeah, all the hopes and dreams about what they wanted in the set, and that helped with the redesign process. And yeah, I mean, I think there was a little bit of pressure just to make sure that the fans got what they voted for. But on the whole, it's a pretty positive community, so it never felt, like some other fandoms where I maybe would have been more scared.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And tell us about that process of, you came up with this concept, you design it, and then you submit it up for Lego for the specific program. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, if you have an idea for a set that hasn't already been created by Lego, you can go on to ideas.lego.com. It's the Lego Ideas website run by Lego. And you can submit that idea. You can make your own design, submit it, and it will open up to a fan vote. And if you get support from 10,000 people over a specific period of time, then it will go into a review pool where Lego will look at it and they'll just decide if they want to take it or pass on it. And I was just very lucky that they saw this and decided they wanted to take it. And then once they selected it, it went into basically a whole redesign process. So the final product is not what my original submission is. It's basically redesigned under Lego's much stricter protocols and to meet their standards and requirements to make a product. So it was really great though, because I got to work with the design team throughout the process, and they took some of my feedback and they made me feel really involved, which was super fun. I got to feel like I was a Lego employee for about a year, which was really new.
I mean, that's pretty cool. Yeah, to get to work with the actual designers and in coming up with this process that was your idea to begin with. I mean, what was one of the biggest things that you learned throughout that creative design process about creating Lego sets?
Yeah, I mean, I think just kind of like I mentioned, the standards that Lego uses to make a product that's to their high quality level. It takes a lot of iterations and a lot of different like design principles have to go into the process, whether it be like the structure and how stable it is for somebody to play with, or working with the IP partner Lionsgate to make sure that nothing in the set kind of goes against what their their idea from the movies and from the Stephanie Meyer books laid down for this franchise. So there was just there were so many people involved, and I learned that Lego is also so open, and their designers reach out to other designers to basically make sure that they have the best possible product in the end.
What's it been like getting the reaction now that this has been out there? I mean, it was announced a while ago, but I think over a year ago is when we first heard about it.
Yeah.
But going from the time that this was announced and seeing that feedback and knowing that this is going to be made and on the way, what's it been like? Hearing about that from people out there who are picking up this set.
Yeah, I mean, that's been one of the best parts for sure. It's been just really cool to hear what either this movie means to people, or kind of the nostalgia that seeing this their favorite movie in Lego form kind of brings up. And that's kind of what I was hoping for from the beginning, is kind of being able to spark that nostalgia, spark the joy, and find the humor in something that a lot of people have already kind of infused so much pop culture kind of humor and meme culture into already, the franchise. And I think it's just really cool to see that there were so many people who, like me, thought that this would be a fun thing to have on their shelf. So
Yeah.
it's been great from fans for sure.
And something, it's an actual place here, in the area that people could. I mean, I'm not saying go bother these people at their house, but speaking of which, have you heard from the owners of the house?
I haven't heard from the owners of this house. I have heard from the owners of Bella Swan's house, which is really cool. And I know that Skylab Architecture shared the Lego set when it was announced and released, which was really cool to see. That's the architecture firm that created the Hoke House. So that was really cool to see kind of that validation that, okay, like, it's okay.
Yeah, you're in the clear. Well, any ideas for follow-up sets or other creations in the future?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. If you check out my Instagram, which is Lobster Thermidor Builds, or on my Lego Ideas page, which you can find just by following the set on the Lego Ideas page, you'll see some sets that will be coming in the works. One of them that I have already submitted that reached that 10,000 but wasn't approved, but I'll probably be resubmitting is it's an ode to Ansel Adams, the landscape photographer. And that one I really would love to see get a second chance. So that's one thing. And then I got a bunch of other ideas that I'm going to keep close to my chest until all this dies down.
All right. Well, I think final thing I want to ask: any advice out there for anybody who is wanting to do this, wanting to create a Lego set, would want to follow in those kinds of footsteps and be a part of that? What advice would you have for them?
Yeah, I think a couple of general things to think about are just build what you love. And like I said, this was something that I did for myself and I never expected was going to get this far. And I think that helped it to do so. So make sure that you're building something for yourself and not too much with what you think other people are expecting or wanting. Just like make yourself happy first. And the other thing would be just to know that there's no risk involved in submitting your idea, so go for it. You don't have anything to lose by trying, and it might take a few tries, but eventually it could happen. So who knows?
There we go. All right. Well, Nick, thank you very much for having some time to join us today. Congratulations again on the set and getting that out there. And yeah, thanks for being here on Fox 12 Now.
Thank you so much.
All right, there we go. Thanks to Nick, thanks to Lego for hooking us up with that so that we could talk about it and showcase, just talking about something from Portland that's turned into a Lego set. That's just really interesting in general. All right, but thanks everybody for joining us. This is Fox 12 Now. We have lots more coming up here throughout the afternoon. So whatever platform you're on, this is also where I'm live. If you're watching this after the fact, we do go live for these segments. I was obviously pre-recorded there, but we are live here from the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom. So thanks for finding us. Feel free to share these stories. We've got the KPTV.com. Go to the Fox 12 Now tab or the Fox 12 Oregon apps on whatever device you are on. We have an app there where you can watch us. So thanks for doing so. I'll talk to you soon. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox